We are officially live. Again, welcome to Sunday Market Outlook. It is Sunday, February 18th, as we are mid-month, right? Second month already, halfway through 2024. It's crazy. Time is going. But again, guys, appreciate everybody who's on here. And if you are watching the recording, welcome to the recording of this Sunday Market Outlook as well, guys. I am your host, Rich Vendiga here, one of the Akashics educators within the platform. And we like to create these calls really just to do a couple things, right? One is to really, catch you guys up with what, type of news events are going to be taking place in the markets. We also like to look at a couple of different instruments that I personally like to trade. That really a lot of the educators that you'll see in Akashics like to trade as well, things like gold, NASDAQ, etc. Definitely would love to interact with you guys in the chats if you want me to review some other things. Definitely will be up to do that. And then also, most importantly, guys, is just creating a focus, creating a intention for the week that we are locked back in, right? We are refreshed from a couple of days, removed from placing trades, managing trades, all of that, right? And that's what these calls are for, right? So I'm going to go ahead and get straight into it. And we're going to start off again by really looking at some of the fundamentals for the week. Now, obviously it's Sunday, right? Very tempting as traders that once the market is open, we can start placing trades, right? And that's why it's so important to have a trading plan, guys, to have a trading plan. Now, your trading plan is not just so simple as far as what I'm going to say right now. It goes a lot more in depth, but one of the simple things you can include in your trading plan is you deciding your schedule, right? A lot of us, we have ambitions, whether you are living that lifestyle now or you want to be living that lifestyle soon, of being your own boss, right? Creating your work hours, really structuring your day. And trading is something that allows you to earn that type of income where, for the most part, you can decide if you want to work or not today, right? Trading is really dependent on you looking at the market, seeking opportunity, executing opportunity, and securing your bag. And, some people are gonna not really have their schedule set. They're just like, hey, from market open to market close, anything goes. If I can place a trade and it looks good, I'm gonna do it. Right. There's other people that say, you know what? I've really tracked my statistics and I already see what days I perform well, what days I don't perform well. When is it really worth for me to put my money at risk? So that's a big question you always have to ask yourselves as traders is even though the market just opened, are we going to be placing trades already because we can, right? Or are we going to have some structure and discipline about when we're going to interact in the markets? All right. So usually for me, guys, I'm going to say that I will never completely exclude a Sunday. It would have to be a setup that is maybe a swing setup, something that is on a higher time frame that is going to take maybe a whole day, maybe two for it to fully play out, based on again the time frames that we're analyzing the market. For me to maybe want to pull the trigger on a Sunday, just because again statistically, whenever I tried just jumping straight into trades on a Sunday or even a Monday, it wasn't my best, right? I think once I allowed the market to recalibrate, allow the banks to really start putting in volume and deciding the course that it's going to take for whatever instrument I'm trading for the week, usually a Tuesday, a Wednesday, Thursday, those 3 days mainly is when I've had better results because I'm not allowing the market to force me to feel like I need to jump in, but I'm letting it come to me. I'm saying, hey, look, I'm going to give the market some time to create, some type of, narrative that makes sense for me to get involved or not. So those are things to keep in mind. Now, again, Sunday we can't place trades, but guess what tomorrow is? Tomorrow is President's Day, which is a bank holiday. Okay, so that's why we see that we have this silver folder that says bank holiday all day for tomorrow. Now, if you're trading Forex pairs, something like the pound, the euro, some other type of assets that aren't highly US based, it makes sense that you don't need to really worry maybe so much about this holiday necessarily. However, for me, if I trade commodities like gold, that is gold, right? You measure that based off of the value that gold has against the US dollar. So it's XAU USD. It is going to matter that it's a holiday to an extent, right? Same thing with the NASDAQ. That's the stock market. Stock market on a holiday, is it really worth placing a trade? And again, you can, right? But really, I think once you have some experience in trading, you stop looking at opportunity more than risk, right? I look at risk more than opportunity because at the end of the day, if I don't assume that I'm going to win the next trade. I look at my trades in sample sizes. Out of the next 10, 20, 50, 100 trades, what am I looking at as far as my win rate, my average risk to reward, right? So I'm looking at, hey, every time I jump into a trade, I assume I'm gonna lose it. And so if I assume I'm gonna lose it, you know, is it worth pulling the trigger on this? Like, is it worth one of the bullets in the chamber? That's how I look at it when I take a trade, right? It's not just, hey, it looks good, let's just jump in, right? No, because every single 1% or every single X amount of your account that you put on the line, you have to ask, man, you know what? Did I do my due diligence? Is this a setup that is worth that has the like you gotta say, man, like this trade has the audacity to put part of my account at risk. It has to look really, really good. It has to make a lot of sense for me to want to do it. Win, lose, whatever happens, that we can't control, but it has to be something that is thought out, has to be something that, follows all of the hard work that we've put in to gather, our strategy. Does it make sense to get in right now? Where are our targets, etc. Right. So I can't stress enough, guys, never let the market psychologically tempt you or bully you or whatever you want to say into having to force a trade just because it's open, right? Now, if it looks clean, then I will do it. But it has to be very specific criteria for me to do it, especially that tomorrow's a holiday. So really realistically, heading into Tuesday, right? And then Wednesday, Thursday is where we have the high impact news, right? When you have FOMC, when you have unemployment claims, those are those are like 5-star news events. Those are the top type of news events, FOMC and unemployment claims. We typically see a lot of volume. We typically see some big moves that take place during that and after that. So I think that's really where I would want to save the majority of my focus and risk, right? Because again, let's say I already look at things on a weekly basis, not really so much a daily basis. So if I'm gonna start putting things at risk on a Sunday or on a holiday, right? And let's say that, the trades are just not really good, and then you take a couple of losses to start the week. Well, now you started the week a little bit down, and then you have to really take advantage of news. And you're not going to approach your risk or your desire to want to get into many more trades without feeling scared, especially during high impact news events, because you already wasted some of that, energy and attention and risk of your account on days that maybe you should have just really sat it out, right? So again, I'm not telling you guys not to trade today or not to trade Monday or Tuesday. I'm just saying be mindful and have that forward thinking approach of saying, man, you know what? Out of this whole week, really Wednesday and Thursday is going to be the biggest opportunity type of days as far as what we have planned. And so we don't want to over leverage ourselves or put us in a position where we hesitate to take advantage of the days that matter the most. Brent Badal in the building, one of the GOATs here on Akashex. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro? What's up? What's up? What's up? Thank you for the patience. I was in a Spanish meeting that's happening at the same time right now. We're going over tap trade and stuff like that. So had to hurry up and do my part, talk about risk management. Come over here, run over here on this side. So thank you, obviously, for opening the call and starting off with the forecast. I saw that last part, and yes, employment claims. That's going to be the good day. Did you share already about tomorrow's news with the bank holiday?
Yeah, I
All
was
right.
just kind of talking about a little bit about President's Day and really, as far as my perspective, those high impact days on Wednesday, Thursday really being the days that we want to kind of save most of our energy and attention to, just because I think that's where we can expect the biggest opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Yeah,
man, I
with
don't know if you
bank holidays, it's always tricky with bank holidays at that point because there's going to be certain bank holidays where it's going to be open, it's going to be moving, but it's going to be very slow. So
yeah,
you can grab those little moments to where it's like, bro, this is stupid. It's just ping ponging like 10 pips, 10 pips, 10 pips, 10 pips. So you could play with it carefully, but then you could actually buy on a high, and then it's going to be doing this all day. You'll get hit by the swap all day, and the next thing you know, either you clear it and you made barely nothing because of the swap, or you just completely tank. So understand what you're getting into. Unemployment claims. That's all we got for the week. We gotta just chill all the way for the week to wait for unemployment claims at that point. Bitcoin, obviously, it's making its rise, and when Bitcoin moves, gold likes to move too. So that's going to be a whole. And I think that will be. I think we'll be leaning more towards like some volume, which is kind of a weird situation that we're kind of living through, which is exciting to me because it's something kind of new. We should start being seeing more movements of volume getting pushed as far as what these big corporations are doing with Bitcoin. Because primarily, when you look at gold, speaking about gold, right, with movements, with news, it's because you have big companies, big corporations, institutions that are leaning on gold base off what their foundation is, like the safe fall. If the dollar goes down, this and that, that's where they're putting their investments in. And a lot of them are pushing towards Bitcoin. So it's getting interesting really at that point where we start seeing some pockets of volume push up. And now we saw it with the way that it opened today. Like the opening was just ridiculous, the way that it opened, the spread that it opened. So, and there's no news to it. There's no reason to that. So like if you read it, there's no, so what else? Like what is the other reason? And really the only thing at that point that kind of leans towards, to me, it's just the rise of Bitcoin is actually making some heavy moves into the gold side of things. So very exciting moments to be living in for sure. But yeah, outside of that, probably you run your screen what you do normally. At that point, I might bounce off again to go back over there. But yeah, if you held my gold trade, we went way past CP5. So let's go.
let's go. Yeah, I actually saw from basically market open between wicks to the high and wicks to the low is like 170 pip range within a matter of 5 minutes. So
Yeah.
definitely yeah, that actually makes sense, man. I ain't really pay much mind because I've been disconnected from the charts this whole weekend. I'm not gonna lie. On the weekends, guys, I really just walk away mentally. And now that you mentioned that, it makes so much sense that we have Bitcoin. And for those that are wondering what's the correlation, and I think Brent, maybe we know this unconsciously, and some people maybe don't put the two and two together. That a lot of people are looking at these things like Bitcoin and gold as safe havens, right? For them to create a storage of wealth. A lot of people, they're wondering like, why does Bitcoin matter or why does gold even matter, right? And it's because, hey, look, at the end of the day, once you have a lot of cash, right? Once you have capital on hand, some people they store it away in things like real estate, right? And then there's people that don't want to they know, hey, let's not leave our money in fiat currency sitting in the bank account depreciating with inflation. Let's put it into something that is concrete, right? Some people call gold God's money, right? Because it's a precious metal, it's from the earth, right? It's something that has been around for thousands of years as a source of value. And if we can dump our money in there, right, especially in physical form, or now they have digital forms of you being able to invest in gold like ETFs and whatnot. That's a choice of a safe haven investment for people to park their money. We're seeing that with gold, right? And it's not just day-to-day people at this point, it's banks, right? Look at the sheets, right? For Bank of America, JP Morgan, a lot of these big corporations, they've already bought into Bitcoin at massive amounts of money. So when Bitcoin's moving, right, we're gonna see that affect things like gold, silver, like Brent is talking about. Would you say that you agree with that?
Yeah, no, it's definitely that's the beauty about gold. Like if you look at it, it's always utility based on anything. You know, look what these companies use, right? So like gold, I don't know if you guys really looked into it, but gold is beyond change, right? Gold is just it doesn't corrode. They use it for satellites. They use it for deep oceans. They use it for like, there's so much crazy utility to it. And that's why it's really been what it's been. That's why, again, not going crazy conspiracy. That's why obviously there's been laws created like in the past where you could only hold so much gold. The rest had to be for the country. So this happened years ago to where you could only have so much weight in gold in your house, regardless of what it was, chains, anything, earrings, and then the rest actually was for the government. They had to hold it because it's what they were even at that point really basing when the dollar was really just starting to become what it was doing. It was really the gold behind it. We see a lot of big nations to where it's like they're crazy wealth, and it comes down to because they have large amounts of gold. Oil, a lot of times, it's just it's smoke for news. Really, it's the gold where it's at that point because if you go deep down into like this conspiracy side of things based off utility, credit cards stop working, internet drops. What will survive at that point, what will really be able to take you to a big next survival level is gold. That's just what it is. And now, with the world that we're living in when it comes to technology, other things have to be found. In gold, there's only so much gold. That's why there's so much demand for it. To supply demand. You could only dig so many mines until we just completely run out of it. And that's where the fluctuation comes in pricing too, to where Bitcoin is running out. Something that's being utilized, it's running out. That's where we see the EOTs, ETS, how you pronounce it. It's all that situation, and I've seen that through the last year. When you see that rise in Bitcoin, you see the rise in gold, right? The gold is it's just it seems to like correlate a lot when it comes to it, and there's all has to be that down backing to it. I mean, living in the States, it's kind of scary to say it that the only dollar in the world that's not based off something is the US dollar. Every other nation bases their dollar off something. Like their currency is based off gold, it's based off oil, it's based off this. The US dollar is not really based off anything at that point, but everything else is. And that's where, of course, the important comes into gold and where Bitcoin is doing those moves. So in my trading view, now I have gold, Bitcoin. Like they're right there. And before Bitcoin was all in the top just to be nosy. Now it's there just to make sure, like, hey, what's going on? Like, why did gold just move like that? Oh shit, I see why. So yeah, it's definitely it's exciting times that we live in for sure.
Awesome. You got a friend joining you there, huh?
Yeah.
Let's go. Hey, and Brent, you got another investment behind you too, man. A lot of people don't realize Brent got multiple forms of investing going on right now on this call. Let's go.
Oh yeah, this is nothing. You gotta blame my wife for all these, and it goes all the way to the floor. And then that closet is full of them too. So these all need to go up to that wall back where they were over there. They need to be
Yep.
hung out there this way. Yeah, that's my wife's investment right there.
Yeah. I mean, you've even seen it with I mean, things like baseball cards and everything. I mean, nowadays, guys, we live in the golden era of investing and it's all the same. I mean, literally cards, what you got going on back there on the wall, gold, everything is supply and demand, guys. Everything is supply and demand. And that's what transitioned me into now actually looking at the charts because that's what I trade, right? I mean, I do trade something called smart money concepts, looking for manipulation and things like that in the market, but really supply and demand is what drives everything. I mean, there's a great book, guys. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. I highly recommend that you guys pick up that book. Um, it's this one right here. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. Oh, you're not gonna be able to see that, but it's by Wallace D. Waddles. The reason why I'm bringing up this book is because the one thing that I always get from this book that's like the main thing is that people are successful because of the way that they do things. So everybody here is in Akashics and is trading. We're all doing the same thing, but it's the way that you do the thing that separates you. And that sounds like, what are you talking about, Rich? That's like such a simple thing, but it's a very deep thing that goes very in depth in this book. And you'll realize, man, like, why is it that some people separate in trading? It's just something as subtle as that one detail of preparation with just if you even create a schedule, if you set alerts, like you saw Brent just literally said, like, hey, I have an alarm on my phone. Man, that might just be the alarm that separates somebody from failing the challenge and then getting funded and making 20 grand, for example. No income claims, but like that one thing, isn't that crazy? And so I just want you guys to step into this week being mindful of all the detail of like how meticulous you really want to be. Because man, if you're telling me that, this is something that is like not life changing, not really something that important, then you could probably toss it to the side. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. I'll write it here. But man, with something so great as trading and the opportunity that we have in place, it's really not something that you kind of just want to do, for lack of a better term, half-ass, right? So let's move on, right? As far as charts, I'm gonna keep it very simple. I know that we've been covering a lot of gray things, as far as mindset, psychology, and these type of things. So that's kind of been the topic of the day today, and I want to give some time to Brent. I think, um, we also have Javier in here. I'm sure that he might want to just cover some stuff. He's been killing it for us, especially on the crypto side. But as far as me, guys, I'm gonna keep it very, very simple. Again, we saw that with gold to kick off this Sunday, we've seen basically a whole range of like 175 pips to open up on Sunday. Now, all in all, in general, if you guys have been on my sessions, we know that really up in this area, we were expecting after a huge drop from news that eventually what goes down must come up, and that has proven as the case. Something so simple as that, right? Whenever we have huge imbalances in the market, especially during a news event, these voids must be corrected at some point. And it's all about understanding when is the right time to pull the trigger, right? It was very tempting to get in a little bit early. We saw the liquidity grabs multiple times before we started really shifting. Again, I shouted out Maddie on my last live session, I think on Thursday or Wednesday, because he actually snagged it like right here. So it was really literally the perfect moment to get in on the buys because we are now here. And that really was like a range of about 300 pips. So that's a banger of a buy call for sure. And again, if you've been on my sessions, you know that we were kind of looking at this general area for the patterns I look for, right? Whenever we're looking at reversals, we obviously have structure, right? And then on structure, we need to see when price shifts back bullish, right? And then creates that forward movement. And that's what we see here, basically creating this pulse. So what does that mean for where we're at right now? Now, personally, you guys know, again, I always like to look at fake outs, manipulation in the markets, and whatnot, right? For me, an area that matters to me is this last wick that was created here just recently that pushed price down. A lot of people obviously either got their positions liquidated because that was a very quick moving thing. I mean, that was again one of those Sunday market opens, and that's why sometimes I say, hey, don't necessarily jump in right away on a Sunday. You might need to give it some time for the market to kind of recalibrate and really give you some clarity. So again, that's why this could have been avoided if you guys didn't trade right away when the market opened. But I think that again, this was the last area of kind of a fake out to the downside that if we revisit this area, I would like to buy off that for the long term on gold. So that's one area that I personally am looking at. At the end of the day, for us to really, really point bullish, is two things that come to my mind. One is on gold, we are back above currently this key level here. So again, whenever we break below this key level, we see how far we can go, right? Whenever we break above the level, we see that we can push here, 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 here. So now if we're back above this level, we may get to here, we may get to here, maybe even all the way over here. So that's left to be seen yet. So that's one important thing for me is this level 2018 600 roughly. And then especially if we can end up breaking and closing above this high. Because if we look at really structure from here to here, right, we have this low. This was a push, or what I should say, a pullback that led to a huge push. And now we're kind of coming back into the range. So in reality, from this point, and that's why you can already see kind of like the reaction from it, right? Structurally, if we just look at this specific range right here, we should see price in this area kind of reject and then push a new low, right? However, that's only if we're looking at this small picture. If we look at things in the grand scheme, right? We see that we had this low that came in and put in this high. And really, this has been one long pullback that has now retraced into these deep discount levels here. And so this could really be like the start of a huge bullish trend that takes us back into like all-time high territories, especially with Bitcoin doing what it's doing. So I think that's why I'm not just so short-term thinking of this range where it's like, oh, pull back, push, retrace, new low. This could happen, right? I'm open to that being a possibility. But just from the higher time frame perspective of how we've reacted off this level and that we're back above this key level, I think that we have the potential to really see price kind of, get a small push back into here. And then once we clear this high again, that may be something that can go and capture all of this trend line liquidity that's built up and then head into these levels once again. That's what I would see. So I'm very bullish on gold for the time being. Obviously, it would be ideal if we could just get a little bit of a push and then we break back above this key level and then we're off. This is my ideal buy scenario right here. What I would really want to see. All right, so market. This is my Nostradamus guess, and I'm just playing when I say things like that, guys, because for me, it's not about trying to predict or try to be right every Sunday about what the market's gonna do for the week. Because I ain't get into this to become a weather forecaster, right? As a trader, you just make on the fly decisions based off of, um, what the market is giving us, right? So that's gold. I know we got some questions in the chat, and I see Brent kind of interacting there. So I appreciate you, bro, on that.
Yep.
We'll get to those in just a sec. But really, gold is the main thing I wanted to talk about because it's the most relevant thing that makes sense to me to take a trade on. Because the thing is with Nas has created a lot of key levels that have been reacting really nicely. Like we got this level here, we got these touches all around here, this mini level here. So I'm really just I'm playing the ranges right now, heavy when it comes to Nas personally. Where we're at right now, it's kind of a awkward spot in the market. I'm kind of just shifting my focus mainly to gold. I think just because we got a really nice demand zone that formed, and we got this nice, like, this is beautiful for me, right? The fact that we wicked to the downside all the way here and now we broke bullish again on the 3 hour. That's why I really like this wick right here. Really just this whole range for us to break and then take off and at least grab all of these highs right here. I think we're going to see 2045 this week personally. But for Nas, again, I'm just kind of playing within these ranges right now. If we start to, push back above here, I would be interested in shorting some of this back to here and then eventually here. I think that we do have some bearish structure overall that we can continue to see. If we, as long as we respect this high and we don't start breaking and closing, I mean, we may not even get a little bit higher than this. I think if we start to really just break below this level again, I'd be interested in taking us down to here at 17,475. So again, just kind of playing these ranges when it comes to Nas. You guys can just see the key levels where price touches multiple times and just playing zone to zone. I've found that zone to zone trading with some of my other concepts on NASDAQ especially has been something that have given me consistency with this asset. But yeah, that's really it as far as what I look for. You guys know I keep it very simple, gold and Nas for the most part. So I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing screen. I know we got a couple of questions in here too.
Yeah.
Uh,
I want to share my screen really quick so I can show something really quick that I got too.
got
In the
you.
meantime, and with CEO GPI, I DM'd you, bro. I send you our link. But if not, just DM me more. It's all good. I got you, bro. So with NAS really quick, how last Sunday we were here and I said, hey, we're going to 1800. And I said from 1800, it's coming down to 17,650. So that obviously played out super cool. Like Rich said, it's not that we're just forecasting. I'm a scalper. I could care less anything that happens outside the 5 minute candle. To me, it's just super fun to be able to like see this predictive forecasted and actually see
Mhm.
it play. It's super cool. As I always say, it's always subconsciously like we see something quick here, but subconsciously there's something more. And it's just that good feeling to where it's like, man, the years that we put into this actually playing out. Like there's something
Yeah.
that's in there that definitely works out. So did that big drop. I think with Nas, we should probably see another weird drop because this really kind of messed everything up. It was so beautiful here. And then this thing just kind of just went all over, then up here, then this big drop again. So I think we'll probably get actually stuck a little bit here. If not, it might come down for one of these weird little lows, but Nas is definitely Nas should be good enough to scalp for sure. It should get stuck. Hopefully, it just gets stuck in here and it gets really boring through the week for us to really be able to grab some good 300-400 pip moves up and down. For gold, I know we were here last Sunday and I said, hey guys, either we're gonna head up into that 50s, and that's what you had said, right? Bigger picture. We're gonna head up into this zone to sell off, or we're gonna drop. So obviously Sunday call hit, then bam, we had that big drop. I called a buy on Tuesday down here at this zone, went up all the way past the TP5s, and now went past this one too. And I'm on the same map with you right now, Rich. I think we're gonna start leveling off this 2015, 2020, which are both super important numbers for gold for the last since the beginning of the year. I would say, if not maybe even December 2020, 2015 was really an important zone. I think we should start supporting off this again to now come and take care of this up here higher. And based off news, it would make perfect sense based off news, right? We have some really kind of chill days to do a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and then news can actually bring us somewhere around here. And then we have that big wick to come up and that big wick to come down and just take care of everything that we did for the last few days. So good. It paints as a really good week for gold, especially if it does start supporting off that 2015, 2020. Then at least we know now it should give us a nice little trend to be able to capitalizing off. And then for news, we should have that expectation for it to do that big wick, to do that big down and grab both ways on that side of things, and grab some big fun gold pips like we know we like to. And yeah, like I said, Bitcoin's obviously still to the moon at this point. It's another little drawing that I was doing in another session at that point of what it's kind of what it's wanting to do here for this, right? If it was oh crap, if it was wanting to kind of break out or not at that point. So this was the call that I did way back in November, called out. Now we have just one more zone here. It might come down one more time, but I don't even think it might not even come down at this point. And just finally hit our 60,000, which would be the next big level of 60,000, 70,000. So fun times that I want to show those things to you really quick.
Javier Torres, who is joining us. He's been killing it with his analysis, really giving us the inside scoop, especially on things like Bitcoin. So let's show some love in the chats for Javier real quick. And pretty much he'll go ahead and cover, his end. And then from there, we'll have some final thoughts and wrap up today's call. But hey, Javier, hope you're doing a good, man. How you been?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I
Let's
always look
go.
up here because I definitely love to see your analysis. You and Brent are killing these different markets. So definitely I am a fan, but also I like to help a little bit because this bull run is amazing. But again, we are facing we are facing the halving, and this is something that definitely I want to have everybody in the mood that there is a lot of things happening, and probably we can have a pullback in the market that can definitely give us a heart attack if you are not uh, already prepared for that. So let me share my screen quickly here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, can you see my screen? I think so. Okay, let's get
Yeah,
a
you're good to
start.
go.
Let's get a start here. Okay. So what I have here is the Bitcoin chart for the 2 hours. So last week when we were here, if I am not mistaken, yeah, Sunday, February, if around this time frame here, last Sunday, I was making the point that we should be looking for what is the market doing in those next hours because we have an important limit or level here in the 49K because that specific number was the last high point that we have when the EFT was approved, and then we have all this rejection in the price or correction in the price when we approve or we have the SEC approving the EFT. So then the prices start moving up, And I was telling you last week that we should take a look about what will be happening here. And basically after the Super Bowl during that night, so this is what happened. What happened was that we have, let's see here, we have a big candle starting on the 48, something like that, and going up to almost 50. Then we have a pushback a little bit from the 50 up to the 48 again. And then this is something that I see with my students on Monday and during the week. So I was tell them that we take a look here in this area. This area that we have here between the 52 or between the 50, 51 and the 53, there is something that we need to double check, because as soon as the days are moving, so we are getting closer and closer and closer to the halving. And there is already like 5 different steps that happening during the halving that I was explaining last Monday to my students during the session. I hope that you have hooked up to that session. So when the halving comes, we need to understand that most likely we will be lost this price. That means that we can see a big movement back, or a big pushback from the price that we have here. And this is an area that I like over there, before to have something like this. And let me make this up to the famous number that everybody's talking about, Bitcoin, because we will be able to see something like this. So can you imagine all the zoom in that I have to do here just to show you this? Up to 1K. And probably that will take months to happen, but I can tell you it will be happening. Actually, I was reading a Twitter or an X message today, or from yesterday, I guess, that one of these big personalities in the world of the personal development and also business, Robert Kiyosaki, he was mentioning that Bitcoin, it will be above the 100K by July this year. But again, that sounds awesome. That sounds thrilling, terrific, amazing. But before to get up, believe me, you should be careful. If you are buying here, I don't care if you are buying here, as long as you know that there could be a big correction. And this area that I have over here between the 45, 46, it is important, because when you see in the 4 hours time frame, when you take a look in the 200 moving averages over here, so it is just getting there. It is just getting there, and there could be a nice pullback here. And believe me, if you are prepared and you have 100, 200, I don't know, $500, you should be able to take a good thinking about this, take your time and understand that if you have an investment here in 45, you perfectly can double your investment in the near future before this year end. But that is something that you need to make sure that you are capable to take the hit and capable to hold it, because there is nothing to prepare us that something like this happening, even go lower before to go up. And this is something perfectly capable to do the market. So we just saw what the gold did during the last week. Ask Rich and ask Brent if something like this is not similar that happened in the gold every single week or every single Monday. So Bitcoin is not something weird to the movements of the market. So probably we can have something like this before to go up. So please make sure that you are doing the things right, that you are doing the things in the best way. Brent said back up to 46. Yes, I think even lower. So even the 40s is not a bad deal to have Bitcoin coming back to the 40s, because at the end of the day, probably something, number one is something that most people do not expect. And number two, there will be a lot of liquidity, a lot of big sharks trying to push the price of Bitcoin down as much as possible to take a big chunk of Bitcoin cheaper, because it will be probably the last time in our lifetime that you will see Bitcoin in the 40s.